Hey boys, what's up? Commissioner Dimes here, coming to you with a mobile video for our Week 14 update. Lots to talk about and very little time, so we're going to do it on the road. First of all, big week, just went down, a lot of big scores put up, and most notably, the champ has fallen again. We've got 2 weeks in a row where Big Play LaFleur has been dealt a defeat, and I think people are starting to smell blood in the water because we had a lot of trade activity, which is great to see. 5 trades went down last week, one including the champ, who's getting a little jittery at the top, it would seem. The first trade of the week was Big Play LaFleur making a splash going after Jose Altuve, Jake Diekman along as a throw-in, and sending off a lot of youth in the form of Mike Chavis, along with not so young, but quietly putting together a phenomenal season, in my opinion, and just getting better as the season goes on, Sterling Marte. So that was a big move by Mustard and Yelich, who has the best player currently in baseball right now on his roster, and now has added some very, very strong pieces to the mix. So although it was near the bottom of the standings, I think that was a big move that could have second half repercussions. Moving on to trade number 2, we had a smaller deal between What's That Odor and Ryan Merrier. So moved 2 pitching pieces, Merrier moving Kyle Hendricks and Marcus Stroman in exchange for Scooter Gennett and John Extravagant. So nice little move for Merrier, picking up Gennett, who hasn't done much this year, but at a very tough position to fill, is a quality asset. So big move there for Merrier, getting in, mixing things up, and he was not done there with the largest of the trades, the biggest blockbuster in my opinion, because it includes the most prolific player that was traded this week, Mookie Betts, heading to Merrier's team in exchange for a needs-based move by Craig Laporte, who is smelling blood in the water, seeing Big Play fall. He goes after David Price to bolster his starting pitching, Trey Mancini, who is a very, very undervalued and underrated fantasy player. And he also picked up someone else. His name is escaping me right now. Brad Hand. Brad Hand, one of the top closers in the game. And we all know Craig loves his relievers, so he's going to be a great fit on that team. He had to give up one of the better players in baseball, but he got 3 really strong pieces. I call this trade a draw because it helps both teams where they need it, and it was a really well thought out deal. The 4th trade between myself and Merrier, again, I shopped hard Suarez and Andrus. I wasn't getting many bites on it. Especially surprised on Andrus because I know he's not young anymore, but he's still relatively young, and he's putting up another great year. He supplies stats across all categories, and Merrier had a need at shortstop. Moncada is my third baseman of the future, so slotting him in there and putting in a utility player who is great across all categories does really hurt you anywhere in Chris Taylor. While at the same time picking up JT Realmuto and Will Myers. I don't know what Myers has planned for the second half. He's a very streaky player who can help you in bursts, and he's been on pretty well every single one of my fantasy teams since he entered the league. So, I felt bringing him along for the ride was a good idea. I'm happy with the trade. Bolsters my offense. Catcher's been a trouble spot for me all year, and I think JT will help there. He's really coming around as of late, and I think the power is going to really ratchet up in the second half. So big deal there. And the 5th and final trade of the week didn't involve as many players as some of the other ones, but a nice little deal. George Springer heading to Team Marriott in exchange for Noah Thor Syndergaard. And great deal. I love George Springer. Outside of fantasy, I just think he's a quality ball player, and he plays the game the right way. He does all the things you need. I was after him in the off season, but I wasn't able to put together a deal that could get it done. So good on Marriott. I think Brett Renaud gets a very, very strong addition to his team, who is set, especially if he has a change of scenery, to have a big second half. Scuttle is he could be going to the Padres, who are going to be scary good, especially if they promote Luis Urias, who I'm hoping they do. Give me another strong second base candidate. But even if they don't, I think Thor is in for a monster second half. So much excitement on the trade deck, and everybody kind of getting in the mix. Some guys hanging back, playing possum in the weeds. I think if you're not making some moves to address any holes in your lineup, you might get passed by. We've got some guys who are making some moves up the ranks, and some that are regressing a little bit. Not going to name any names, but if you feel like you've got something that needs to be addressed, you need to go out and get it, because gone are the days where everyone sets their roster and just sits back and lets it go. We see some trades humming now. Marriott constructing his ship of Theus, or whatever the heck it is, Reggie Theus, basically changed every component of his team, turned it over, and we'll see how that helps him in the second half. I'm really stoked about my team. Hopefully some of my pitching turns around, and I'm in the market for a closer. I think I've got some good outfield assets. I got a little bit of speed I can deal for a quality closer, but I think I can do pretty well even without one. So that's my 10 cents, maybe a little more, maybe $1, maybe $1.25. Not sure what it comes in at, but it's just so much activity. I had to talk about it. As far as second half predictions, I think we're going to see some movement from Matt Tien. I think Jose Ramirez is starting to come around. I think Blake Snell is going to iron things out, and I think Walker Buehler, no, he doesn't have Buehler, sorry. He's got another guy that is putting it together. I can't think of it right now. So I think we're going to see that move. I think the Gary Sanchez drought is going to take hold in the second half. I think big play is going to continue to regress back to the mean, and I think we're going to see some movement by Mr. Laporte. And the Pete Alonso regression that I predicted, I will eat my crow right now and say that this kid is for real, and he's not going to have an OBP at 450 all year. That has come down a bit, but the power is real, the production is real, and tip of the hat on that draft pick, because we're seeing how big that has been for that squad, and I expect it to continue. I also think Kevin Klein, Mustard, and Yelich, I think having the best player in the league, as well as some of the additions he's made, is going to really help move him into the conversation of the top three by year end. So I expect myself to be firmly in the playoff picture, and I expect Peter Geary to continue to scratch and claw his way into playoff contention. But it's really anybody's game, and it's up in the air. But those are my thoughts. If anyone else has them, put them in the comments. And because the chat room blows, so I can't do much there. But that's it, man. I'm excited. It was a big week. Only other comment is week 15 is like a week and a half long because of the All-Star break. So your moves stay the same and all that kind of jazz, but it's an extra long week. So at the end of Sunday, the results carry over for the full next week, and then the winner will be determined. So bear that in mind, govern yourself accordingly, and keep the moves going. That's me. I'm on the road. This is Dimes. That's my 10 cents, and I'm out.